Welcome in, everybody, to Fantasy Pros. This is the Fantasy Football Podcast. It is me, Joey P. Joe Pizzapia. With me today is Andrew Erickson, BPE himself. And filling in for our boy Debro is our own Scott Bogman, the host of the Dynasty Football Podcast. And Bogman, since you're kind of like the guest today, I want to press the guest. I want to ask, people want to trade Cooper Kupp. I don't know why, but Andrew Erickson and I just spent an hour trying to convince people not to do that. Are you at all concerned about the wide receiver 2 overall's down game?
No, I'm not. So I would not be trading Cooper Kupp right now unless the rest of my team is really bad and I get a bunch of picks or something. So why don't you go ahead and keep one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Go ahead and do that, I would say.
There we go.
Gonna go out on a limb, Joey, and say that. So.
You don't get that kind of analysis anywhere else, folks. That's right. The good players trade away the bad ones. Andrew Erickson, a lot of Khalil Herbert questions, too, in the start and the sit. I know with Montgomery being out there right now, people are kind of looking at it and saying, well, if Montgomery plays, should I still play Herbert? How do you feel? Let's play those scenarios. If Montgomery's out, obviously you feel much better about Herbert. But what if Montgomery is quote unquote available for that game? Does that change your perspective of Herbert dramatically, Andrew?
I mean, I have Khalil Herbert ranked as an RB1 right now because I don't think that David Montgomery is going to play in this game. So I would definitely bump him down from the RB1 territory down to probably RB3. But the fact that the Bears run the ball so much the way that they do means that like Khalil Herbert probably actually has some flex appeal, even if Dave Montgomery is healthy in this matchup. You know, we've always looked at the situation as, oh, it's Montgomery's backfield. They don't use any other running backs, but considering the injury, considering how good Herbert has been and factoring in the Bears just ill will towards the run game and they just are obsessed with running the ball, I think Herbert can actually pay off even if Montgomery is active.
I heard if they run it a few more times, then next week they get to wear leather helmets. It's going to be awesome for the Bears. Love it. There is a forward pass, Chicago. There is. And there is a Santa Claus, Virginia. Let's get to the starts and the sits. Before we do, I want to remind everybody real quick, don't forget about the start sit assistant that is available, obviously at fantasypros.com/myplaybook. That's where you get it. And obviously it's going to help you set all of your lineups, which can be a drag sometimes, or you need some quick advice, last minute changes, all kinds of things happen. The start sit assistant is there for you when you are having trouble. It's a beautiful thing. So visit our fantasypros.com/myplaybook. Go get the start sit assistant. It's your one-stop shop for all the lineup decisions across all of your leagues, and check it out today. Also, don't forget, it's a premium product. So that means go premium right now at fantasypros.com/offers. That's the place to do that. fantasypros.com/offers. Make a deposit one of our partner sites. And then just like that, bang, you get 6 free months of our premium Fantasy Pros glorious product, including the Start Sit Assistant, including all the other amazing tools that are offered there. Go check it out. Download the My Playbook app to Android, Apple. You know where to get things. You know, you're smart. That's why you're hanging out with us in the first place. So we're going to go through all the starts and the sits, all the positions. Let's go. Let's start with the running back. And let's start with Scott Bogman, your must starts of the week.
Give me James Robinson. And I know Philly is a tough matchup and everything, but look, the Fantasy Pro social media crushed it last Sunday when they said, put the doctor who fixed James Robinson's Achilles in charge of everything, because this guy looks like a different human being. He might look better than before he tore his Achilles. He looks outstanding. It's a tough matchup. You're going to want to keep the ball. If you're Jacksonville, you're going to want to run the ball. And look, he might be stymied for a bunch of runs, but he'll rip off a big 1 or 2 or 3 in this game. So I have no issue starting him in a tough matchup against the 3-0 Philadelphia Eagles. So got to roll out Robinson, I think, Joey.
I like that because I think there's some people that are saying, okay, you know, he's been so good, but Eagles have, you know, been a good defense. However, they've given up more against the run than people realize. I think that's something where he has earned that spot. Yeah. Dude's RB3 overall in the year. You're not taking Robinson out. Don't overthink this. Don't manage yourself out of a game. Okay, that's one. Who's another guy you want to start this week?
Give me Tony Pollard. You know, you've been talking about the downfall of Ezekiel Elliott probably for a little too long, But I think we just fully saw Tony
I was
Pollard
just at the party before anybody else. That's all.
You were setting up the balloons. You had all the stuff besides the mailbox, Joe.
It was a whole thing, yeah.
But we saw last week that Tony Pollard is the best running back in this backfield. And I still like Zeke. And I think Zeke could be good if given the opportunity. We saw him run a couple sweeps to the outside on Monday Night Football, and he looked good. But that's Pollard's run in this offense. You give Zeke between, into the teeth of the defense and stuff. You're not really setting him up for success. I expect Dallas to be up on Washington and going away pretty quickly in this game, even with Cooper Rush as their quarterback, who's undefeated as a starter, by the way. But we don't want to mention that. But look, Pollard looks good. I expect them to be up, and I think game script just says run Zeke and run Pollard. So I'm rolling out Pollard. He looks outstanding, and he can rip off one of the house at any point. He's dangerous right now.
Okay, so that's 2. Give me one more guy at the RB position you feel really good about starting this week.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, and this is a tough matchup, and it's a tough running back, but I want to talk about this guy a little bit, so I want to get your feelings, so I got to bring him up somewhere. I'm going to say J.K. Dobbins against the Bills, and here's my logic. It's that, look, the Bills have been retiring people. Ryan Tannehill looked like he needed to go take a long walk on the beach after playing Buffalo. They have looked outstanding so far. Hit a little speed bump against Miami last week, but we get Ronnie Stanley back for the Ravens offensive line, which is going to be enormous for them. And they have been babying J.K. Dobbins a bunch, but they couldn't hold a lead in the game against Miami because they had no run game. They couldn't get anything going because they had no run game. I think you have to establish the run here. You have to run the ball. Your best blocking left tackle looks like he's going to be full go this week. I think you got to give him more than the 7 touches that he had last week. I think you need to double that. And I think that he gets in the end zone as well. So as a flex, I am willing to start J.K. Dobbins this week. Even in a tough looking matchup, I just think the volume is going to be there for him. Finally, after they've been handling him with kid gloves this entire offseason in this whole process. So I'm going to roll out J.K.
I like what you're doing here because you're talking real football. And I always feel like that's something I love to do on the show. Let's talk real football. I want to put the football back in fantasy football a little bit here because you're 100% right. They need more balance to this offense. They haven't had it. It's what really bit them in that Miami game for sure. Their inability, the inefficiency in that vein. And hopefully after last week, we have a spot here with Dobbins where we increase that workload. For you, Erickson, does that workload increase enough where you feel good about starting JK?
I mean, I don't feel good about starting him. I have him ranked similarly where I have him at the back end of the RB3 range. But I mean, if we're talking about real football, who looked better on the football field? J.K. Dobbins or Justice Hill? I mean, Justice Hill looked very explosive with the ball in his hands. He got talked up a little bit this week by John Harbaugh.
He did. I saw that. He's a star. Sometimes though, I coach.
Is this Harbaugh or Pete Carroll?
But he did play well.
I coach flag football for kids, and sometimes you want to build a kid up too. You say good things because you want them to reach their potential. I'm just saying, Justice Hill is not new. But
your daughter's flag football team is the exact same as the NFL, Joe.
Well, let me tell you, some weeks I give her the same exact. No, but the point of making is this. It's a simple one, which is sometimes you want to pump up certain guys and motivate them and get them thinking positively. And I guess here's my point with that. It's like when you're looking at the scenario with Hill, it's not like Hill hasn't been around. He hasn't had some chances at this job. Why is he a star now in week 4 in 2022?
Well, I mean, he just looked like the most explosive running back that they've had all year. They were rolling out Mike Davis. They were rolling out Kenyon Drake.
Well, yeah, because look at they're rolling out. They're all 80 years old. I think
that's what I mean. So I just don't think that, he talked about doubling the touches for Dobbins here. And I guess I just don't see that where, why would they just have Hill involved as well? I still think it's going to be a committee. I do like the idea of the touchdown upside with Dobbins, though, because he did get the red zone carries in week 3. So I definitely think there is appeal. I mean, you can't go wrong attaching a running back in a high-powered offense that has red zone equity, which I think is the ultimate play with Dobbins, and anything you get from extra carries, I think is gravy.
He's ECR RB 39 and half PPR. I've got him at 34. Boggs, do you remember offhand where you had him this week?
I have him at 34, I believe. Yeah, 34.
You got him at 34 too. Erickson, do you know where you have J.K. Dobbins?
36.
36. Okay, so we're actually all
RB3.
pretty close.
Yep.
There you go. All right, so RB3 territory. Let's Cross our fingers for that touchdown. So Robinson in, Pollard in, Dobbins in. Who's out, Boggs, at the RB position this week?
Damien Harris, I think, is out for me. And, I'll bring this up with the Patriots fans here, of course. But Stevenson, look, their touches are about the same, but Stevenson's getting way more snaps. You're down to Hoyer the Destroyer, it looks like, this week. So it's not going to be a fun week for y'all. So I just don't think I want to roll out Harris, and I don't know. I may even avoid Stevenson a little bit if I can help it. So, what do y'all think? This is your team.
Well, I mean, at this point, we're also hoping for Bailey Zappi. I think that's what Andrew and I want to see, because we're just, if we're going to be bad here, let's see what Bailey Zappi is. I know what Hoyer is. Erickson, what are your thoughts here on either of these running backs from New England being startable this week?
I mean, Damien Harris ranked RB 42. So
well, there's the case closed. All right.
You just heard what he said about Dobbins, and he was willing to start Dobbins over Harris.
I would start Dobbins over Harris.
All right, let's go on to another guy here. Give me the next guy you have at the RB position that you are sitting this week, if you can.
It's Rashaad Penny, and not for, they're playing Detroit. I just think this is a chance for Detroit to step on someone's neck and look like a dominant team. And I think they're going to do that this week. I think they're going to beat up Seattle. I think it's what you want to see if you're Detroit, to give them some confidence moving forward if you're Dan Campbell. And I think Seattle's going to have to pass in the third and fourth quarter, which means we're going to see some DJ Dallas. Maybe Penny is getting some touches in there as well. Obviously, Ken Walker has not established himself like I thought he was going to early in the season. Obviously, he had the hernia to start, and that did not help. I know Travis Homer's out in this game, so, there could be expanded usage for these running backs. I just think that Detroit is going to stomp Seattle. So I don't see a lot working in the run game. So I think he's going to catch passes, and they like to mix more with that. So I'm going to go ahead and sit Rashaad Penny this week.
Well, that's the fear, right? If you get down, all of a sudden game script goes away.
Yeah.
14-66 last week in the half PPR. That was good for 7 points. He still does not have a touchdown on the year either. Erickson, I know right now he is at ECR RB 29, it looks like. I think Boggs is a little lower than, so am I. But where you have Rashaad Penny this week?
No, I mean, I like Rashaad Penny this week. I have him up at RB 28. I think that he's going to be able to rip off some big runs against the Lions defense. I'm not afraid of this run defense. And yes, there is that scenario where if this team falls behind, then yeah, Penny is basically nuked in terms of his fantasy appeal. But there's a lot of running backs that kind of fall into that category. We don't have a lot of 3-down running backs that are playing on all 3 downs and in the passing game. So in my, history of playing fantasy, it's always been a good bet to just, hey, if he's the early down guy, you just got to hope that they stay competitive. The game is going back and forth. And yeah, he's getting volume. And last week he got volume, 56% opportunity share. He had almost a 70% snap share. You already mentioned Travis Homer is going to miss this game. I mean, no other running back had more than 3 carries last week. Like, Rashaad Penny was the bell cow on early downs. So if this game is just a little bit back and forth, I mean, Detroit had issues putting away. They didn't put away the Minnesota Vikings last week. They let them crawl back into the game. So with some other injuries, Amon-Ra St. Brown is banged up. No DeAndre Swift. Maybe Seattle keeps it a little bit closer, and Penny is they can ride Penny throughout. So I still like Rashaad Penny as a back-end RB2 flex.
There's the pro and the con of Rashaad Penny this week. Now you go out there and make some good decisions. If I have to be the tiebreaker, it just feels like, when you're struggling for RBs, that you're probably going to end up playing him in more leagues than you want to, because that's RB2 is just so bad at this point. You just don't have a lot of good looks.
Are you going Dobbins or Penny this week?
I'm going Dobbins, but I'm a Dobbins guy anyway, and I'm going to try to play.
I got them next to each
Baltimore. Other. Yeah, well, I'm playing for that Baltimore scoring opportunities. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to put themselves in those situations where I think, if you add in even a more limited workload, but still a better workload for Dobbins and throwing a touchdown, that's a good day. I'll take that. The Rashaad Penny Seattle Seahawks offense.
You guys remember what Rashaad Penny did to the Lions last year? Do you guys remember that?
I did, but I'm living in the now. I want to live in the now. I don't want to live in the past. Bogman told me I'm not allowed to anymore.
We're not here to talk about we're like Mark McGuire. We're not here to talk about the past. We're here to talk about the future.
All right, let's play America's favorite game, Who Should I Start? And this is, of course, using the Who Should I Start tool, which is free at fantasypros.com/start. So go check it out. It's a player comparison tool, and the revamped newer version of this that the dev team has unleashed upon all of you is absolutely fantastic. Just kudos to them. It's just so good. I love it. It's great. So let's start with Devin Singletary at Baltimore, the other side of that Baltimore game, or Breece Hall against your Pittsburgh Steelers. Bogman, who are you starting, Singletary or Hall?
I like both these guys this week, to be honest with you, but I'm going to go with Singletary. Singletary had enormous usage, all the snaps last week. They just got rid of James Cook and Zach Moss. It looked like we were going to get some weird mixture of three, and then last week when it was a close game, which I think it could be here against Baltimore, they went, let's just give Singletary everything. So give me Singletary in this matchup. But I like Breece Hall because Pittsburgh dead last in the NFL in time of possession, and it is miserable to watch my team right now. It is not fun. So I like both of them, but I'll stick with the good offense in Singletary.
Now, speaking of miserable, we get Zach Wilson back at quarterback this week. So does that kill your Breece Hall love at all, or shy you away, Erickson, from this matchup?
I don't actually think that it makes too big of a difference for me that Zach Wilson under center. I mean, I think that the 9 targets that Breece Hall's seen in 2 of his 3 games played this year is probably not going to happen. But if Zach Wilson is out there, I think they're going to want to try to run the football a little bit more and like have some sort of semblance of balance in their offense and not just having Joe Flacco drop back 60 times a game. Because that just doesn't make a lot of sense.
You say it like it's a bad thing. I mean, it's very enjoyable.
Flacco is elite. Everybody knows that.
For fantasy purposes, it's really perfect because you're just racking up points left and right. But I do think Hall as an explosive runner, I mean, he's 6th in the NFL in yards after contact per attempt this year. And Michael Carter's not even near him. So Breece Hall has been earning the more snaps in this offense because he's simply outplaying Michael Carter. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Hall lead this backfield. But at the same time, you got Jets Steelers versus Bills Ravens. Like one of these games is just oozing fantasy points where the other one is like, all right, are we going to get out of the mud here?
We'll have fun. Everybody gets a trophy, kids. Yeah, it's like that. Here's a question for you. Who has more receptions this week? Breece Hall or Minkah Fitzpatrick from Zach Wilson?
I'm going to go Breece Hall still.
Okay. All right.
I better
you want to get it on the section?
I'd feel better if Joe Flacco was playing, though.
All right, let's play another one here. Cam Akers or J.K. Dobbins. Here's another. By the way, 63% of the experts agree Singletary over Breece Hall. 37% for Breece Hall. Let's go to Cam Akers versus J.K. Dobbins. Erickson, you start this one off.
Yeah, I'm going with Cam Akers. I'm just going to go with the guy that is starting to look more healthy coming back from his injury. He looked good in this last week. I know he fumbled at the goal line, which is a concern. If they just pull out the rug again and then you put Darrell Henderson in the RB1 role, unless that happens, I don't see how Dobbins is going to outscore Cam Akers unless Dobbins scores like 2 or 3 touchdowns. So I'm going to go with Akers here.
Okay, so Akers for Erickson. How about you, Boggs?
I'm going to stick with Dobbins. I do have them so close that it's really coin flippy. And I'll say this, and I've been saying this on the stages that we're doing a lot. By the way, I'm going to start a new FP stages on Friday at 5 Eastern, just so everybody knows. But I have them so close. And I'll say this, like, if you have a gut feeling, even if every expert says go with this guy or don't do this trade or whatever it is, and you just have that gut feeling, you got to do it. You got to trust your gut, So I'm going to roll with Dobbins here, even though I have them both very, very close to each other. I believe I have Dobbins at 34, and I have Akers. I'm sorry, Akers. Yes, I kept wanting to say Henderson.
Oh, I've got them back to back. I've got Dobbins at 30 and Akers at 31. So
34 and 36. So I it's going to be very, very close. But I'll take Dobbins. I think he gets this expanded role.
I've got Dobbins by 1 spot. The ECR disagrees. They want Cam Akers. They love Andrew Erickson. 74% goes that way. All right, Andrew.
Rush for more than 5 yards per carry, and that's what everyone loves. So we're good.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fair. It's fair.
It's the best metric to use, yards per carry.
100%.
Let's go with the wide receivers here. Andrew Erickson, who do you feel good about starting in week 4?
Ooh, I feel really good about DeVonta Smith for the Philadelphia Eagles, wide receiver. I have him at wide receiver 22. He's wide receiver 28 in the ECR. We got to buy into what we've been seeing the last 2 weeks. Like, it's time to be all in, and DeVonta Smith is on the must-start territory, in my opinion. Look at the last 2 weeks. 29% target share, 36% air yard share, nearly identical to A.J. Brown. And when you look at the individual matchups, DeVonta Smith, where he's been doing a lot of his damage, has actually come from the slot. He has 7 slot targets over the last 2 weeks. Jaguars cornerback Darius Williams is PFF's 6th worst graded cornerback this season. So I think they're going to take advantage of Smith. And what we saw in week 1, Smith was really just on the perimeter. They're moving him more around the formation. Yeah. And that's why we're seeing this improvement in his production these last 2 weeks. It's because they are being more creative with the way they use him. So I think that looking at what the Jags have given up to certain receivers, Curtis Samuel, Ashton Doolin, Josh Palmer, none of those guys are known as like their number ones on their teams, which is why I like DeVonta Smith as the perceived number 2 on the Eagles offense, because that's where the Jaguars have been bleeding production to wide receivers.
All right. That make a good case, too. I know a lot of people were panicking after week 1, but if you stayed the course with Smith there, things have really turned around quickly for him. And I like what you're saying, too, about how they're using him in different ways, much more creatively. That's what you got to do. You got to get that mismatch, like him and the linebacker. That's what you want, too. But again, you make a great case on the corner spot, too. Give me another wide receiver you feel good about in week 4.
Yeah, I mean, after week 1, I was very concerned, but Amari Cooper for the Cleveland Browns with Jacoby Brissett slinging the ball for the dog pound.
What I wouldn't give for Jacoby Brissett right now.
Yes,
yeah, same.
Yeah, seriously, all of us miserable. It's all right.
So I have him at wide receiver 26. He's at wide receiver 23 ECR. I might even need to move him up because, I mean, he's playing the Atlanta Falcons, and the Falcons made me look horrible for burying DK Metcalf a week ago. When DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett both got there for fantasy, the Falcons have allowed 5th most fantasy points to wide receivers this season. And since week 2 for Amari Cooper, 36% target share, 21 targets overall, 66% of the team's air yards over that span. In week 3, his air yards led all players. So look, him and Jacoby are starting to gel a little bit more, and the matchup is perfect. Like, look, this is like the typical game where you see Cooper just bust, but based on everything that's been playing out the last 2 weeks, it's like, this is a really good spot for him.
Yeah, back-to-back 100-yard games for Amari Cooper. That ain't too shabby. Where I come 101 and 101 on 9 catches and 7 catches, double-digit targets in both. He is wide receiver 12 on the year. Who'd have thunk it? Unbelievable. Jacoby Brissett just leading them to victory. All right, give me one more guy here at wide receiver you feel good about starting.
I'm going to go, maybe feel good's not the best word. Again, taking a deep dive here as we like to do. Right, so DJ Moore, wide receiver for the Carolina Panthers. Look, the usage for Moore cannot get any better. I mean, he's ran a route on 100% of Baker Mayfield's dropbacks. Like, he's on the field on every single play. Issue is, the Panthers offense ranks second to last in plays per game because they are running through the mud. They have a sluggish offense. Now, the matchups haven't been great across the board, but they're playing the Cardinals. Like, this is the most beatable secondary in the NFL, in my opinion. They're allowing the league's 3rd highest completion rate, 3rd most passing yards. They're ranked 31st in pass defense EPA. And the biggest, with Baker Mayfield, his issue has been completion rate. He ranks 3rd worst in the NFL in terms of his completion. It's like below 55%. It's absolutely horrible. But it doesn't match what we've seen from Baker Mayfield throughout his career. Like, it's not going to stay this low forever. So just based on natural regression, based on the positive matchup, and based on how much DJ Moore is used in this specific offense, I'm going to roll the dice with DJ Moore.
All right. Now, DJ Moore hovering the ECR at 33 because people just don't want to let those hard to reach chips go sometimes.
That's fair.
Boggs, where are you at here? It is a good matchup. I feel like if it doesn't get right against Arizona, they might not get right all year. Then, this is the danger zone, right?
Yeah, well, we all have to click our heels and hope for DJ Moore this week, right? Because if it doesn't work this week, it ain't going to work. I mean, that's just kind of what it feels like to me.
Yeah, San Fran, the Rams, Tampa, the next 3 games after that.
I mean,
so,
come on, man. Where is the good matchup?
Well, Hugh, to that point, before I even go there, let's say he does do well. Let's say, okay, DJ Moore back on track. Looking at that schedule, I have no faith that it maintains.
Yes.
So this is the trade DJ Moore Monday morning, right?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
I mean, and this is all if he's successful. My issue with Baker is going from Cleveland to Carolina looks like me picking up the 6 on Madden after not playing for 10 years. It ain't good. It's not good. He does not look good. He looks terrible. And if you take away the 67-yard touchdown pass that he had to Laviska Shenault on like a 5-yard flat route from him last week, he had 103 yards passing on 11 of 24. He is miserable right now. And I think Laviska had like another 30-yard catch or something in there as well, or 20-yarder or something long. I don't trust Baker right now. So I have a little bit lower than ECR. I think I have him at 35. So I'm just afraid for this offense as a whole. But this matchup does look nice. I've been very critical about Cliff Kingsbury, and he has nothing to do with this defense. It's awful defense right now. And Carolina looked good last week. I still think the Cardinals will win this game. And I hope DJ Moore gets right. So the one share I have of him, I can potentially pedal off. But I'm not going to bank on it.
My daughter, actually, my 10-year-old asked for a PS5 for Christmas so she can get Madden. I could not be more proud. That was legit the reason. She's like, I want that so I get Madden. But I feel like I'm actually buying it really for myself. So I feel like this is a win for everybody, right? Like this is Merry Christmas to me. I just want to check. And then we can play each other. And we can both morons. That'll be fun. We'll get Erickson in there too. He'll whoop us. He's got a headset.
I can't play Madden. I hate Madden.
Oh, awesome. That's perfect. So all 3 of us will get in. We'll do a little tournament stuff. It'll be super fun.
My face will be as red as my shirt. It'll be fun.
You go. All right. Who do you want to sit this week? You want to start DJ Moore and Duck? You want to start Cooper and DeVonta Smith? Feel good about those. Who do you want to sit, though? Andrew Erickson, wide receiver.
I'm going to be sitting Allen Robinson for the Los Angeles Rams. Look, through 3 weeks, Allen Robinson has a grand total of 13% target share. That is tied for third on the team with Ben Skoranek. Woof. Yeah, it's not been good for Allen Robinson. He's just not getting targeted on the outside. Teams are adapting, running more zone coverage, and these guys that just line up on the outside, not in the slot, not getting the rock.
At least his touchdown went straight through his hands last week, Erickson. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, he's a touchdown or bust guy, and I don't like that in this particular matchup against the 49ers. Third fewest fantasy points are allowed to wide receivers, second fewest targets, and only 2 touchdowns, one of which came on that Dante Pettis touchdown in week 1 that was on a broken play. So I don't like the touchdown appeal in this particular matchup for Allen Robinson. So yeah, I mean, he's ECR wide receiver 42. Like the experts and myself included, we're ready to kind of just brush off Allen Robinson, and you're just trying to sell high after he hopefully maybe has a multi-touchdown game at some point. So Allen Robinson I'm out on.
He's wide receiver 66 on the year. We talked about this on yesterday's podcast, which I thought was, and Ben Skoranek is not that far past him. Like he's in the mid 70s, if memory serves. Who do you think has more fantasy points at the end of the season? Skoranek or Allen Robinson?
Well, Van Jefferson's going to come back, and that means Skoranek's going to go to the bench. So I will say,
let's hope. I'm waiting for the Odell Beckham signing in November. That's what I'm waiting. So did you know that's coming? All right, let's continue on here. So you've got Allen Robinson to sit. Who else do you have as a sit this week?
Another Allen Lazard. I have it wide receiver 42. He's ECR wide receiver 39. Look, he's being out targeted by Romeo Doubs. We're seeing this rookie wide receiver step in as a day 3 pick and become Aaron Rodgers' go-to target. That's concerning for me with Lazard, who basically, look at his production the last 2 weeks, he scored 2 touchdowns. That's really it for him. This Packers offense runs really slow. Aaron Rodgers is not pushing the ball downfield whatsoever. I mean, Aaron Rodgers' passing air yards are the same as Justin Fields. Justin Fields, give him credit when he does throw the ball, it is downfield, but he's not throwing the ball at all. But neither is this Packers offense. So in a game against the Patriots where I really don't expect there to be this back and forth between these two offenses, the Packers will get a lead, hand the ball off to the running backs, and they're not going to need to use a guy like Allen Lazard to thread the needle in the red zone for a touchdown. Just give it to the running backs. So I don't like Lazard in this matchup, and he's a sell high for me. If you can move off of him, hoping that you can sell him as the number 1 receiver on the Packers, because I think it's going to be Dobbs.
All right, Bogman, what do you think about this? Do you think that just game script alone, you're kind of fading Lazard this week for somebody with a little bit more upside?
I hate this game. I do not like it at all. I do not like it, Sam. I am. I do not like green eggs and ham. I hate this game so much. I mean, we just saw how gross that Bucs game was against Green Bay. We've seen New England dirty up some games, and you have to expect them to do that. And the emphasis for them all week is going to be on defense because you have the second string QB in there. And if he doesn't do anything, maybe the third string, like you said, Bailey Zappi, would not be shocked to see them go to him if Hoyer is just proving completely ineffective early in the game. So, I think this game is going to be ugly overall. I think Erickson is exactly correct when he says it's going to be Green Bay gets up and hands the ball off 1,000 times. So I really don't want anybody in this game. I already talked about how I don't want Damien Harris. I don't want Lazard. I don't want any of these guys. So no thank you to anyone in this game. Hard pass, except for defense. Start those defenses.
Start the DST.
Start those defenses.
Hey,
All
that's
right.
right.
Let's play a little who should I start the wide receiver position. Let's go Rashaad Bateman against Buffalo or DeVonta Smith, who we talked about earlier, against Jacksonville. Boggs, who would you rather start?
We do a good job here of picking guys that I have ranked exactly next to each other.
When you say we, what you really mean is me. I'm the one that does this. So.
Joe, excellent work.
Thank you.
I'm going to go with... You know what? I do have Bateman one spot. I'm going to make the change right now. Erickson had a great argument about DeVonta Smith, the Slim Reaper. I love watching, one of my favorite players to watch. So give me the Slim Reaper. I'll go DeVonta Smith.
Live changes on the rankings right here on the podcast. Doesn't get any better than that. Erickson, do I even have to ask you this one?
Nah, man, it's DeVonta Smith. And after just researching his matchup more, I moved him up. I was like, why are we not viewing DeVonta Smith like a guy like Gabriel Davis? Plays in a high-powered offense. Yeah, he's the number 2, but the dude's been balling out, and he has a higher target share than Gabriel Davis does. So why not DeVonta Smith? Why not me?
Why not me? I'm gonna still go Rashaad Bateman, so I'll be in the minority here, which is funny because I'm actually in the majority. 63% of people agree with me that Rashaad Bateman is the start this week. So I'm gonna play the total in this one a little bit. But look, it's not that I don't want to start Smith. I just, me, that's my Rashaad Bateman. All right, let's have another one here. Treylon Burks at Indianapolis or Romeo Doubs himself against New England in the game that Boggs hates. Erickson, which one do you want?
I actually like Dobbs in this particular matchup against Treylon Burks. Look, Dobbs, I know I just talked about Allen Lazard, and part of that is because Dobbs is emerging as the number 1 receiver in this Packers offense. He ran more routes than Allen Lazard did last week, and it's not just, he's seeing a bunch of deep targets like he did at Nevada. No, that's not the case. They're manufacturing touches for him near the line of scrimmage, and that's not going to go away as the Packers are throwing the ball in the first half against the Patriots. The Patriots, I don't think really have anyone that can cover at all. Jalen Mills is one of PFF's lowest graded cornerbacks in the entire NFL. So the fact that they're allowing the 5th fewest fantasy points to wide receivers, I just don't understand. It's just because of who they've played. So I think that Dobbs he's got a massive buy, picked him up on the waiver wire in a lot of different leagues this past week. 73 receiving yards and a touchdown last week. High end target share. So I'm drinking the Dobbs Kool-Aid.
I'm pissed because I drafted Dobbs in Flex League and then I dropped him after week 2 and then I missed by $1 of picking him up. Yeah, so that's how I feel about Romeo Dobbs right now. I'd probably take Dobbs as well. Boggs, how about you? Burks or Dobbs?
Burks for me. Look, Erickson's right. Everything you said about Dobbs, he looked great last week. Like I said, I hate that game. I don't want to touch it. It looks gross to me. I think it's going to be disgusting. I think you have to manufacture ways to get the ball in Burks' hands. And I know our boy Debro, hopefully he's feeling better right now. I know he's a big Nick Westbrook-Akina guy this week because the slot has been playing terrible for the Colts. I think we could see Burks dropped in there a little bit because we heard the OC talking about how he wants to manufacture touches for him. Kenny Moore has been miserable. I believe he's 97th out of 106 corners ranked on PFF grades right now. And Burks has size on him too. So I think we're going to see Burks drop in the slot a little bit more this week. So I will take Burks. But the answer really is nobody because, they haven't been able to pass the ball very well in Tennessee. I don't like this game for Romeo Doubs. So my answer is, Jerry Jeudy or somebody like that. I'll take somebody else over
Treylon Burks, actually, 59% of experts agree with you, Boggs. So Erickson and I in the minority in this one. Another fun way to enjoy your fantasy experience, of course, is to join our Discord, which is free, fantasypros.com/chat. But if you're a premium subscriber, we've got the touchdown contest going on where we're giving away this month a Stephon Diggs autographed jersey to the winner of the month. And every single week, you're getting the winner a little $25 spending spree in the Fantasy Pros shop. So look, doesn't cost you anything really. Just get that premium membership, which again, fantasypros.com/offers you can get. And go join the Discord and check out the Touchdown channel. That's Touchdown Calls channel for all the rules that apply. And go have some fun. Call some TDs. Win some free stuff. Let's go. Let's talk a little QB. Trevor Lawrence, my favorite. Boggs knows. I'm so excited that Trevor Lawrence is starting to look like Trevor Lawrence in the NFL. This is just a wonderful story. He is taking on the Eagles, though, this week. It's a tough matchup. Marcus Mariota, on the other hand, taking on the Cleveland Browns. We don't know if we're going to get Myles Garrett in this game or not. Mariota, decent last week, of course, cookie matchup. So, Boggs, who would you rather start this week? Would you rather start Trevor Lawrence, who's been really solid, or Marcus Mariota against the Browns?
Give me Trevor Lawrence. The Browns lead the league in time of possession. I think they're probably not going to have very many issues carving through that Atlanta defense this week either. Look, it's a tough matchup against the secondary, and we saw Philly just put the screws to Carson Wentz with the 9 sacks last week. So it's not going to be an easy matchup. But I do think he's just got a little bit more than Marcus Mariota. Receivers are better too. So let's go ahead and roll with Lawrence.
Okay, how about for you, Erickson? You want to go with Lawrence in the tough matchup, or Mariota, who might have to thread the needle, as Boggs is saying a little bit?
I like Mariota. Mariota's been a steady producer through the 3 games that he's started this year, QB 10, QB 18, QB 15. So he's offering you a pretty solid floor. And I just think there's a little more volatility with Trevor Lawrence in the tougher matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles, where, Cleveland gives up 12th most fantasy points to quarterbacks, and they faced Mayfield, Flacco, and Trubisky. So they've been giving up fantasy points to bad quarterbacks. And I would argue Marcus Mariota's played better than all 3 of those guys up to this point during the year. And Mariota also adds a lot of rushing to his fantasy production. So if their offensive line is getting blown up by the Browns, assuming Myles Garrett ends up playing, okay, that just means Mariota is going to run more. So I'm a believer in Kyle Pitts and Drake London. Who's stopping Drake London? No one. So I like Marcus Mariota a little bit more.
All right. I'll break the tie. I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence, the glorious hair. But no, I'm going to go with Trevor Lawrence because I believe in what the Jaguars are doing. And I think that the Eagles better not take them for granted, because I do believe that if they do, they might get caught. I feel like the Jags are that team this year where people are like, yeah, the Jaguars are better. Yeah. Next thing you know, they get punched in the mouth. And people are looking around going, oh my God, well, there's Trevon Walker, there's Josh Allen. Oh my goodness, his defense is better than maybe we think. But look, Mariota's a decent play this week. I'd rather go down with the ship with Trevor Lawrence here.
I like that you like the guy with the hair, Joe.
I like the guy with the hair, man. I'm jealous of the hair.
So.
You gotta have your hair icons for me. 52% also, by the way, for the record, on the Who Should I Start tool. Agree, Trevor Lawrence. Let's get to the nasty, gross QB2 realm here. At the bottom of the pool, let's see who we can pull out here for Superflex. Baker Mayfield against Arizona. Again, theoretically, this is when you play him, or Jimmy Garoppolo in a bounce back game against the Rams, who, typically speaking, the 49ers outside of that championship game fare pretty well against the Rams. So, Boggs, where do you want to go on this one?
A running back or a wide receiver or anything else besides fair. These guys in a super flex. Look, I'll take Jimmy because I just have zero trust in Baker at all whatsoever. Even though the matchup is great and we want DJ Moore, we want all this stuff to happen. We want this offense to look great, so there are pieces that we can use. I just don't know if Baker's going to get it done. I think he needs a little more time. Whatever it is, it's not clicking yet, and I don't think that that's going to change this week. So I'll take Jimmy just by default because I hate Baker.
Okay, Jimmy by default. How about you, Erickson?
So Garoppolo couldn't score more than 15 fantasy points against the Rams last year. So 2 games, he could not crack more than 15 fantasy points. There's no Trent Williams for the 49ers. Their starting left tackle, their offensive line is bad.
Get no Mississippi's. Yeah. That's why I said running back, Erickson. Let's go with the running back.
So for all those reasons, Baker Mayfield's been averaging right around 15 fantasy points this season. Look, I'm going to roll with Mayfield. He's going to stick it to Cliff Kingsbury and Kyler Murray on the other side. This is just he's got to do something. And like we're talking about with DJ Moore, like if there's ever going to be a ceiling game, it has to be this week. So if I have Baker Mayfield and I have to start a second quarterback,
I smell a DFS lineup brewing for Erickson right after this show.
I love that you're reaching down to finding something for Baker to hate to be good here. Like, he hates his old teammate and the coach that liked Kyler Murray over him. So sure, let's go. I mean, got to find something for Baker. He's got to find something.
No, revenge is a dish best served 5 years later. I guess that's it. Let's talk about the tight end position and who in the tight end one conversation that perhaps we're a little concerned with. It might be fading a little this week. Boggs, let's start with you.
How about and I hate to say this, but Pat Friermuth against the Jets.
Sacrilege.
Really, this is because the Steelers can't stay on the field. Like I said, lowest in terms of time of possession in the league. I'm not sitting here telling you that the Jets have a great defense because I don't think that. But I think when you have the lowest time of possession in the NFL and you have other guys like Najee, you have Deontay, you have Claypool get the ball on reverses, and George Pickens throwing little hissy fits when he doesn't get third down balls thrown to him. I think there's just too many mouths to feed and not enough time with the football. So I'll fade Pat Friermuth until the Steelers prove that they can keep the ball for 50% of the time over a team at all this year.
Okay, Erickson, who at tight end one concerns you this week?
I just want to say, when he mentioned too many mouths to feed, I'm just imagining this very small meal and a very small table that Trubisky's trying to serve all of his receivers.
It's like all these mouths to feed, but it's like that movie Oliver where, like,
please, sir,
orphans. Can I have some
more?
Got nothing.
I would like some more targets, Mr. Trubisky.
Because nobody is eating in this offense except Deontay. Deontay gets his portion, then everyone else.
Yeah, but he's getting
scraps.
it's not even good. It's just like it's
microwavable.
And he has to make like the Steelers have had two of the most amazing catches of the year already this season because Trubisky is not accurate at all. It's so miserable.
So my tight end I'm fading is Gerald Everett. So tight end 12, I have him ranked. He's tight end 11 in ECR. It's just a matter of, Justin Herbert. How healthy is Justin Herbert coming back from his rib injury? We saw Everett's production, like a lot of the Chargers receivers last week, basically just crater because the offense didn't look as good. Keenan Allen is potentially coming back as well. That's a guy that's going to take up a lot of targets in the offense. And yes, Gerald Everett is on the field operating on most of the downs, but in week 1, he scored a touchdown. In week 2, there was no Keenan Allen. And then in week 3, we saw the offense struggle and he didn't do anything. So there are a lot of scenarios where I see Everett potentially failing in this situation. Like, I still prefer David Njoku to Gerald Everett because I think he has a clearer path to targets in his offense. Whereas Everett, you're hoping he catches a touchdown because he's in a good offense. At least we hope that it's going to be a good offense with Herbert. And I think it's an underrated matchup against the Texans. Texans have been a very good pressure generating team this season, and Rashawn Slater's out for the Chargers. So Justin Herbert's gonna have to make some magic out of the pocket and out of structure, and he's got his ribs that he has to be concerned about. So I'm a little hesitant on Gerald Everett.
Fair enough. I did just hear that I saw while the show was recording that David Njoku did not practice today. Is that correct? Did I see that correctly? Or I did see something about that. So let's follow up on that. Again, I literally just saw it, I think.
Yeah, it says he was held out of practice.
Okay, so this next question has to do with Njoku, but again, take this with a grain of salt, depending on what more news breaks. David Njoku at Atlanta or Tyler Conklin at Pittsburgh? Erickson, who would you rather start if you're a little worried here about Njoku now?
I mean, I'm still going to start Njoku because I'm worried about Tyler Conklin in this Zach Wilson-led offensive attack. Tyler Conklin has just been making it up on garbage time, 8 targets in each of his 3 games played so far this year. But it's been like fourth quarter check downs from Joe Flacco. Like, that's really what Tyler Conklin has seen. He's also benefited from CJ Uzomah getting hurt and missing some time as well. So, look, I think Conklin, if you just need to stick someone at tight end, I think that he's fine because he has been productive, and I think it's worth chasing. He does have a good role in the Jets offense. But what Njoku did last week, or 88% of the offensive snaps, 32% target share, 9 passes on 10 targets. The Falcons give up the second most fantasy points to tight ends. So it's a good matchup. He has a good role. And as long as he's not hurt, then he should be the tight end you pick over Conklin, in my opinion.
How about you, Boggs? Still smash for Njoku?
I got a question here real quick. Erickson, those numbers for Njoku, who are they against?
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Who does Conklin play?
Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right, I'll go with Conklin. So, they like I said, that offense is going to be on the field so much. Pittsburgh is a mess right now. It's not like the Jets are great, but I think they've got enough on offense. I think Zach Wilson's is just better than Joe Flacco. I don't know if he'll have the connection with Conklin that Flacco did. That is a big question. But with Njoku looking a little shaky, and just seeing what Njoku did to this Steelers defense last week, I'm going to roll with Conklin.
I know everyone's going to be really happy when Corey Davis has 8 catches and Ty Johnson's running around everywhere. It's going to be awesome.
And Njoku doesn't play.
Right. Stop putting that out into the ether.
Let's roll with Harrison Bryant, fellas. Come on.
Way too much fab money on David Njoku, please.
David Njoku, 85% of people agree Njoku is the start, by the way.
I want to clarify with the David Njoku. So it says that it was a rest day for Njoku.
Okay.
He's going to be putting up massive numbers on Sunday.
Oh, that's what it says, right? That's the update.
That's the update.
Yeah.
Because
massive
of
numbers,
future massive numbers, taking a rest on a Thursday. I see.
Yes. His shoulders are tired from putting the team on his back.
Oh, nice. All right, let's get to the must starts of the week. I will start things off here. And it's not a sexy name, but you got to start him. It's Greg Dortch. I mean, look, I know what you're saying. It's Greg Dortch. That's a good argument. You're going to look back at me and say, why am I excited about starting this guy? Well, if I told you the guy who has over 3 weeks, 20 catches on 23 targets, and he's wide receiver 23.5 PPR in the year, don't you want that guy in your lineup? You should be starting that guy in your lineup. I don't know why you wouldn't want to start that guy in your lineup. Start Greg Dortch. Stop overthinking it. Not everything has to be cool. Sometimes you just take Greg Dortch, you take the points, you take your 15 points, you say, okay, awesome, I'm good. I'll see you next week. Take the points with Greg Dortch. Who are you starting this week, Scott Bogman?
Let's go with Tyler Lockett. We've got Jeff Okudah probably holding down DK Metcalf. He's done a great job this year, but Oruwariye, one of the most targeted corners in the league this season. I think Lockett could have a pretty big game. Geno has been efficient, so I'm going to roll out Lockett.
Okay, Erickson, your must start of the week.
We go with Rashaad Penny. Tyler Lockett's going to get them down the field.
Stuffing your nose in it, Boggs.
Tyler Lockett's going to get them down the field, and Rashaad Penny's going to punch into the end zone.
All right. Let's flip the script here. Talk about the guys we want to sit this week. I'd like to sit wide receiver 50, Juju Smith-Schuster. That's right. I want to sit him. I'm over it. Done. I don't care anymore. Also, it's a tough matchup as well. And I'll give you a bonus one too. Garrett Wilson, I'd be sitting this week. I want to see it. I am concerned what Zach Wilson does or does not do. And look, I hope, believe me, I want good things for Garrett Wilson. But at the same time, I have to be concerned. I think there's a lot of other options on that flex area too that you could probably get away with this week. Let's see what happens in this matchup. Let's see if Zach Wilson has that same chemistry with Garrett Wilson, because if he doesn't, you'll be glad that you sat him for this week. So Boggs, who's your must sit of the week for week 4?
I don't know how you could look yourself in the mirror if you're still rolling out Darnell Mooney. So it's probably obvious, but I know a lot of people will say, don't panic. We're only 4 weeks into the season. We're almost a quarter of the way through your regular season to get to the playoffs, y'all. Like we can't keep rolling out Darnell Mooney. So just until Justin Fields has 200 yards passing in a game, I'm going to be sitting Darnell Mooney because that whole offense is just rough right now. So no, thank you, Darnell.
You dropped a y'all in there. You've been living in Texas for 2 years now.
Dude, it came back like I got rid of it when I moved to Arizona because everyone looked at me like I had 3 heads. And
I've known Boggs for like a decade, and I've never heard him say y'all. And then
a week and a half here, and it just came back like an infectious disease. So, I can't get rid of it.
There you go. All right, y'all. How about you, Erickson? What do you want to say?
I'm going to sit the RB4 in fantasy points scored this year, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Because he's averaged just under 12 touches per game throughout the first 3 weeks. He's being out-snapped, out-targeted. He's running less routes than Jerick McKinnon. And he's playing the Buccaneers, who just happen to have allowed the fewest fantasy points per game to running backs this season. So, yeah, Edwards-Helaire, he's been great the last couple weeks. I would not start him this week.
So between you guys, see, I did it, Joe. So between y'all. Both of y'all, are we sitting the entire Chiefs offense? Is it only Kelsey and Mahomes? Are the only two
but it's Mahomes, and then you hope for the best. I mean, look, they're going to get some pressure on Mahomes. And the Chiefs offense right now is peculiar. We know Kelsey, that whole thing is good, but really, I think there was like a false sense of security in the Chiefs offense that now I think has been exposed in the last 2 weeks a little bit more. That
they're not playing the Cardinals.
Right, because they're not playing the Cardinals anymore. If it wasn't for that 99-yard interception return, they would have lost to the Chargers. They went on the road and they lost to Indianapolis. They did not look good offensively there. They're missing that other playmaker guy, or it's time to finally say, Sky Moore isn't a 2023 guy. He's a 2022 guy. We need to play him now. And
Not
Can
on
he catch
punt
or hold
return,
on to the
though.
ball?
well, look, let's
Yeah.
give him another opportunity. That's all I'm saying.
Well, he didn't
I agree with
Off
you.
of punts. Let's
I
give
don't
him
know why
let's
he
not
was-
punting.
why he was
It's not
back
like
there.
MVS has been doing anything. Mecole Hardman has been
MVS is the
banged
same
up
guy
and
he
not
always
doing
is.
anything.
Mecole does nothing. What do we have to lose by
I'm
finding out
with
Sky
you.
Moore is the guy? I mean,
I think
come
it'll
on.
help
Low-key
everything.
winner because everyone else isn't doing anything.
I told you, if he turns into this year's Amon-Ra St. Brown, I'm not letting that happen again to me.
I'm not dropping him from my benches. No way.
He's on every single one of my benches
I'm
still.
scooping up Sky
I'm
Moore
not
all
doing
over the
it.
waiver wire.
All right, let's talk about flex appeal. So, look, I think Romeo Dobbs has flex appeal this week. I understand the matchup is gross. Boggs is not wrong, but can he get a touchdown? I think the answer is yes. Andrew mentioned the secondary for the Pats not very good. So, yeah, give me Romeo Dobbs. Give me 6 catches and a touchdown. I'll sign up for that. Let's go. Boggs, who's your favorite dart throw flex play of the week?
Dart throw, and I'm in a lot of 16 man, so I'm thinking a little bit closer to the end of my bench. How about Benjamin, James Conner? Look, he's already had an ankle injury. The guy is fragile. We know that. So if you get up in this game, and I know, Joe, you don't agree with me, but I still think the Cardinals win this game going away because I do not like Baker at all whatsoever, even in a tough matchup. I just don't believe in the Panthers at all. So I think the Cardinals win this game going away. I think when you get there in the second half, let's start handing that rock off to Eno and sit James Conner. Let him rest that gimpy ankle a little bit to keep him healthy throughout the season. So hopefully Eno punches one in. So that's what I'm hoping for. So I'll roll out Benjamin in a deep league.
Erickson, who are you punching into the lineup this week?
I'm going to DJ Chark for the Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown's a little bit banged up with this ankle injury, and if you look at the way the Seahawks defense has been attacked so far this year, it's been down the field. DJ Chark, 18.4 average depth of target, ranks third in the NFL, and the Seahawks rank dead last in yards gained per pass completion. So it's the perfect matchup to deploy Chark as that high-end wide receiver threat. Wide receiver 3 flex play. Jared Goff is surprisingly 7th in the NFL in deep ball rate. So look, he's a boomer bust guy, and this just screams like a matchup where, hey, Chark is going to boom based on the matchup. So I like the Lions receiver here.
I just want to say on the sheet, I wrote DJ Chark and then realized that Erickson had beat me to him. So,
fair enough. Everybody loves TJ.
This isn't the first time we've had these war go out through the show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. I send the sheet to everybody at the same time, and then everybody gets all, that guy got in there for what? What do you want from me?
Yeah.
Right?
One dog goes one way, one dog goes the other way. This guy says, what do you want from me?
Looks like somebody we know. All right, let's. By the way, I watched that the other day. It was on Bravo. Really? Oh my God. Whenever you watch Goodfellas on Bravo, it is a complete and utter just laugh riot. It is so funny to watch the fake curse words that come out of their mouth at the end because they can't. It's Bravo. They fix everything. Oh, so good. It's money. I love it. All right, let's get to our listener mailbag, JMG24. Chris Olave or Brandon Ayuk, rest of season. Andrew Erickson, who would you rather have?
I'm going with Chris Olave.
Okay, the rookie Chris Olave. How about you there, Boggs?
Olave for sure. I mean, Jimmy just doesn't look good. So I think Olave could be the number 1 wide receiver for New Orleans. He might already be there. So give me Olave.
Okay, there you have it. 3 for 3, the sweep there. And again, we always have questions that get answered over on our Fantasy Pros Discord, fantasypros.com/chat. Again, free to join, but go to fantasypros.com/offers. You know what to do. Make a deposit, then get the 6 free premium months of our giant, amazing, incredible tools. And then you can go and use our Start Sit Assistant at fantasypros.com/myplaybook as well. So there it is. We're laying it out for you. Let the Start Sit Assistant help you. Let us help you. Be a part of our Fantasy Pros community. Scott Bogman, phenomenal work today stepping in for D-Bro on short notice. He absolutely smashed it. We're so happy you could hang out with us. Andrew Erickson, you're pretty good too. I like you also. That'll do it for us. But the story of the game goes on. For Bogman and Erickson, I'm Joey P. We will see you next time, kids.
Thanks for tuning in to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out our featured videos. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Fantasy Pros, so you can get the latest news and updates to give you the edge you need in your fantasy league.